All right, we're live on Facebook. If you want to see what we're talking about, you can head over to Dr. Nathan Thompson on Facebook. That page, and you can see actually some examples that I'm given on my screen share. So, hey guys, how are you? Dr. Thompson here, author of Transformation 28 and the T28 Experience. Hey, we're only about 9 days away from our first T28 challenge of 2019. So I'm excited about it. We got some great changes, and for the challenge, and we're always changing things. We're always adapting things and always trying to make things better. So every experience that we have for our participants, it always gets better. So today I want to talk about the skinny on fat. So hopefully, being 2019, we have realized that the whole low fat, non-fat craze, that is so like 1990-ish. And so, hey, but if you still believe in the low fat craze, then I want you to listen up. So I want to talk to you real quick about belief systems. Okay. So, I always tell my patients, I'm like, if you're going to understand, in order to understand where I'm coming from, you need to change the way that you're thinking. There's so many people that apply nutrition from a medical standpoint. What I mean by that is, people say, hey, I'm a holistic nutritionist. No, you're not. You're really just actually replacing blood pressure medication for a diet and supplements. So you got to look at the whole picture. How you have to look at the physical stress, the chemical stress, the mental stress, take all that into account. But a lot of times when you say something that doesn't fit a person's belief system, people get angry and they get emotional. And I'm actually okay with that, because there's a lot of things that I used to do that I would get angry and emotional about. And it actually means that I wasn't happy with that way of thinking, and it got me to thinking differently. So when we go over new ideas, it should make you uncomfortable, because that's the only way that you're going to change your way of thinking and become better, which kind of leads me into the whole idea about fat. So there's this story, and I've told it a lot of times. Let me go ahead. I'm going to bring my screen up. Hopefully it stays. There we go. Okay, so there's this whole idea, or this story that I tell, and it's the story of a woman who brought a leg of ham for Christmas dinner, and so she for Christmas dinner, she's preparing the leg of ham, and she cut it in half. And her husband, who was watching her, said, "Hey, why did you cut the leg of ham in half? Is it so that it cooks better in the middle?" And the woman says, "You know what? I really don't know. It's just something that I've always done. And I saw my mom doing it when I was a little girl." So later, her parents arrived for Christmas dinner, and the conversation, the idea of cutting the leg in half for Christmas dinner was brought up to her mom. So she said, "Hey, Mom, why do you cut the Christmas, the leg of ham in half for Christmas?" And she said, "You know what? I don't really know. That was something that Grandma always did." And then Grandma later on came over for dinner, and the daughter asked Grandma. She said, "Grandma, why did you cut the leg of ham in half for Christmas dinner?" And Grandma said, "Well, that was easy, because when I was growing up, my oven was so small that I had to cut it in half so that I could fit it in the oven." So the reality is, there's so many things that we do. Oh, don't even get me started about some things that we do. Not because it actually makes sense. It's just something that we've always done. Just think of every health decision that you do. Think of it as, a lot of it is just you do it because someone taught you. Someone told you to do it. We've lost so much critical thinking. It's amazing. So the thing is that actually happened, several decades ago when it came to fat. So fat, back in it was like in the 50s, in the United States, America actually started seeing an increase in heart disease. And so then they actually wanted to study and see, well, what was leading to this, especially in men, this rapid increase in heart disease. So they said, well, what is it? Is it cholesterol? Is it the increase in calories? And by the way, you don't have any receptors for calories in your body. You have receptors for hormones. So, this whole idea that you get sick because of calories, no, it's what the hormone response from the food that you're eating. Calories are just the energy. And by the way, fat, if you're fat is inert. Like fat, doesn't make you sick, other than in some cases it can produce estrogen. So they wanted to see, hey, listen, is it the calories? Is it the cholesterol? Is it the fats? Is it the carbs? Is, what were the vitamins? What were the minerals that were playing a role in heart disease? So by 1960s, they had two main theories that actually came out on the role of fat. The first one was, and these were actually in conflict with one another, because the first theory was that added sugars, increased carbohydrate consumption were the primary cause. The other theory was that it was dietary fat and cholesterol. So then by 1980, the first dietary guidelines for Americans was published. And what it focused on is it focused on reducing fat, reducing saturated fat, lowering your dietary cholesterol for the prevention of heart disease. And the thing is this whole idea that sugars and increased grains and increased carbohydrate consumption was causing coronary heart disease was actually buried. And I actually have documentation that says that this was actually buried through heavy lobbying of the sugar industry, if you can imagine that. So what happened back in the early 80s was that what was recommended by the USDA is they said that you should eat a low-fat, higher sugar diet, and it actually started to cause heart disease and cholesterol levels and things like that to skyrocket. So the reality is that when you go back, and if it's not working out, then you need to do something different. It's crazy. Yet we still continue to do the same thing. I still have patients who come to me, and doctors are adamant that they don't eat cholesterol. Do you guys know that eating cholesterol does not raise your cholesterol levels? They're adamant that you have to artificially lower your cholesterol by altering liver function inside of the body, thereby not producing CoQ10 inside of the body, and then destroying a lot of other things like your serotonin levels, your testosterone levels, all your muscle function, because you're not producing CoQ10. So you're literally causing all of this damage by trying to artificially lower cholesterol. So here now we had heart disease actually start to skyrocket. Now here's the thing with fat. Fat is essential in your bodies. It's essential for you to have normal gastrointestinal function. It's essential for you to have normal hormone function. It's actually essential for you in order to store hormones and to be able to break down fats, to store, vitamins, or to break down fat-soluble vitamins like your A, like your D, like your E, your K. There's so many different reasons why you need fat. In fact, if you look at the 70 trillion cells inside of your body, every one of those cells has what's known as a lipid bilayer. Lipid means fat. So you have a two-layer fat cell membrane around the cell membrane. And guys, that's what actually allows nutrients to go in and waste materials to go out. In fact, you actually read some awesome work, like by Bruce Lipton, for example. He says that the brain of the cell is not your genes. The brain of the cell is the cell membrane, because that's what's responsible for letting things in and letting things go out. And that's made of fat. So literally for every 70 trillion cells to function, you need fat. Now, there's good fats and there's bad fats. So are all fats good? Nope. Are all fats bad? Nope. And like I say with everything, it depends. So it depends. However, there's some that you should avoid clear across the board. First one is this: hydrogenated and and or partially hydrogenated oils. So these are also known as trans fats. Here's what's interesting about trans fats. But everything that I eat, it says that it contains no trans fats. Here's a problem with that. The government forced food manufacturers to list trans fats on the label, but they allowed one stipulation. They allowed that as long as there was less than 0.5 grams of trans fats per serving, then on the label, they could say contains no trans fats. Listen, food manufacturers, they're not dumb. So you know what they did? So they kept the same amount of trans fats in, and instead what they did was they just increased the amount of servings in order to get the serving size they have under 0.5 grams of trans fats. So trans fats, what they do is this gives certain packaged foods a longer shelf life. And it also prevents them from melting at room temperature. I mean, who's going to want to eat a Twinkie when it has when it's literally like melting and all oily in the packaging? So it prevents it from melting. Now, here's the thing: is that there's actually research that said there is no safe limit to trans fats. Meaning, well, just a little bit is okay. They say no safe limit for trans fats. Trans fats are in any kind of lot of fats that have a shelf life, that are at room temperature. It's in ice cream. It's in so many different things. So if you see anything that says hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated, name your fat after that, that is called a trans fat. The reason why is that these things are just, these actually can lead to sudden cardiac death. So what they do is they prevent the synthesis of what's called prostacyclin. Prostacyclin is necessary to keep the blood flowing through your arteries, which means that when you're on trans fats, you can throw a bunch of clots. So sounds like a heart attack to me or a stroke to me. So you got to first and foremost get rid of all of the trans fats. How about this one? Rancid vegetable oils, okay? These things are going to be corn oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, peanut oil, canola oil, or simply just says like vegetable oil. By the way, do you know there's no such thing as a canola plant? Look that one up. Canola is an acronym, and it has nothing to do with a canola plant. Now, the thing is that these fats, they don't handle high temperatures well. So you heat them at high temperatures, you fry them, they become unstable and they become inflammatory inside of the body. And listen, guys, inflammation is the precursor to all disease. Inflammation is the precursor to arthritis. Inflammation is the precursor to cancer. Inflammation is the precursor to gastrointestinal system. Inflammation is the precursor to having damaged hormone system. There's like, and that is a well accepted fact, even in the medical community now. So the rancid vegetable oils. So, you know, what these things actually do is when they heat at high temperatures, they're unstable, inflammatory, and they're going to cause the oxidation of cholesterol, meaning causes anything that becomes inflammatory, causes circulating cholesterol, damages the arteries inside of the body, and the body has to actually fix that. It has to fix the damage to the arteries due to inflammation, and it fixes it with cholesterol. That's why you can't beat up cholesterol for merely doing its job. Yes, having cholesterol will help save your life. And if your cholesterol is going up, you need to figure out why. But cholesterol is not the problem. Inflammation is the problem. How about this one? Fats that you consume from grain-fed beef. You know how like your mom would always say, you are what you eat? And it's actually not 100% true. You are actually what they ate. So what I mean by that is, if you think about it, if you want to make a person gain weight, then you're going to give them a diet that is high in sugars and high in grains. All right. Provided that they're not literally exercising 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day. Okay. The standard American person doesn't exercise that much. So give them a diet high in sugars, high in grains, and high in damaging fats. And if you want to pack the pounds on a cow, guess what they give them? They give them a diet high in grains. So one of the biggest differences between grain-fed and grass-fed is that there is a huge difference in the fatty acid composition. So grain-fed is going to have a lot of omega-6 fatty acids that actually promote inflammation, and grass-fed is going to have a lot more omega-3s, which is going to have a more anti-inflammatory effect. So plus the other thing, let's not even get into the different hormones. Let's not even get into the fact that they're eating GMOs and doing things like that, just from a standpoint of inflammation. So the fats from grass-fed beef are going to be infinitely better than from grain-fed beef. Okay. Now, what are some of the good fats? So here's some great fats that you can have. Extra virgin olive oil is a good fat. Don't heat it though. Don't heat extra virgin olive oil because you'll smoke it and it'll turn rancid. How about virgin coconut oil or MCT oil? So coconut oil is great. Don't be afraid that coconut oil is all saturated fat. Saturated fat in its unaltered state does not cause heart disease. Literally, there is no food that occurs naturally in nature that causes heart disease. It's only the saturated fats that have been altered. Man alters it, man always screws it up. So MCT oil and coconut oil is absolutely great. And in fact, unless you have a food allergy to coconut, I recommend it to everyone. Although when you can do food sensitivity testing, some people can have allergy to coconut. At that case, you need to avoid it, okay? But if you look at some of the benefits of coconut oil, promotes heart health, promotes weight loss, helps to support your immune system because it has antiviral, antibacterial, antiprotozoal properties, helps to support a healthy metabolism. It gives the body an immediate source of energy, keeps your skin healthy and youthful looking when you apply it to the skin. It helps to support proper thyroid function. So literally there's so many different things. And the good thing about, like, for example, virgin coconut oil is that you can cook with this at high temperatures. Now, the other thing, good fats are anything that says cold compressed or expeller pressed. So cold compressed, expeller pressed, except for canola oil. Cold compressed or expeller pressed means in order to extract the oil, it wasn't heated, which means it's not rancid. Another great source of fat, raw nuts and raw seeds. So these are great. So nuts and seeds are healthy. Most people don't eat enough of them. They have vitamins, they have minerals, protein, they have fiber, and they're also packed with healthy fats. So a great way in order to get some of these raw nuts is that sometimes they can be hard for someone to actually break down. So, a great thing is that you can soak them like in distilled or purified water overnight, and that'll help to break some of the enzymes down so your body can digest them a little easier. So I like nuts that are actually the highest in fat. For example, macadamia nuts, highest in fats. Pecans are great. Brazil nuts, walnuts, hazelnuts, cashews. I know they're not technically a nut. Almonds, pistachios. These things are great. So they have great sources of fat. These are the foundation for cell building, hormone function, vitamin storing. All of these things are great. Now, there's also great seeds that you can consume too. Great seeds like chia, hemp, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, unless you have specific food allergies to them. But what about peanuts? Here's my terrible pun for the day. Do not eat peanuts. So listen, like if you want to get technical, peanuts are not a nut. They're a legume. So a little bit different. But here's the thing. Peanuts can be high in a mold called aflatoxin. And they're also really notorious for being one of the most pesticide contaminated crops. So if you're going to eat nuts, there's tons of other nuts. They're going to be better than peanuts. Okay. So almond butter, sunflower seed butter, walnut butter, those are going to be better than peanut butter. Other great sources of fat, grass-fed beef, cage-free chicken and eggs, wild or Pacific caught fish. These are going to be less toxic. They're going to have a greater essential fatty acid makeup. So big difference, obviously, between the two. So how much fat should you get with your diet? what percentage of your daily caloric intake should be fat. It's different. You've heard, a ketogenic, which says 70% fat. Okay. And I like a ketogenic diet for some people, and for other people, they should never, ever do it. I'll give you an example. I just had a patient. She came in. She doesn't have a gallbladder. She's got a lot of other symptoms too. Doesn't have a gallbladder, adenomyosis, which is extremely painful, menstrual cycle. She's got Graves' disease, hyperthyroid issues, not thyroid nodules, chronic irritable bowel syndrome. I mean, you name it. She's 35 years old and she wants to die. She has no gallbladder, and the nutritionist put her on ketogenic diet. So if you understand one of the functions of the gallbladder is to help release bile to break down fats, she just put a ton of fats into her system and doesn't have enough bile to break it down. So she was getting nauseous and had diarrhea literally all the time. So a ketogenic diet is not for everyone. And I think that a ketogenic diet shouldn't really be a lifestyle as much as it should be a temporary dietary intervention. Okay. Because remember, you're going to be getting carbs. You're going to be getting a lot of vitamins, fiber, minerals from your carbs, specifically vegetables, for example. So I like to actually supplement with MCT oil, with coconut oil. And I also like to supplement with omega-3 fatty acids. Here's the thing. I don't like fish. I don't like eating fish. I think it's gross. It's something I think from childhood. So I don't eat fish. I know I should. I just don't like it, and I don't want to. So I do supplement with fish oil, EPA, DHA, and a pharmaceutical grade quality, and I get about 2, sometimes 3 grams. This has a great anti-inflammatory effect on the body. So I do that every single day because I don't eat any fish, really. So people always ask me too, what about avocados? Are avocados a good food? And hey, you know what? Yes, I think that avocados are a great food. But are avocados a cure-all? No, they never are. Avocados are just a food. They're not a superhero. So avocados are great. They're high in fat. They're also high in fiber, but and they also aren't going to spike your blood sugar. These help to fight inflammation. They're high in vitamins and minerals. Carotenoids are going to be high in. So they're definitely a good food to help target inflammation. They're great additions to use, especially if you are on a fat loss journey. You do have a word of caution though, because there's certain carbohydrates that are in avocados. And sometimes people find them difficult to digest. So if you get any cramping or bloating after consuming avocados, you might have to actually avoid them. So guys, I could go on and on regarding fat. I mean, like the problem is that a lot of people eat too much fat, but they eat too much bad fats and not enough good fats. And some people don't eat enough fat at all. And listen, the proof is in what's happening in the United States. So if we're going low fat and you see heart disease going up, maybe it's actually the carbohydrates that's creating the inflammation. If you see cancer that's going up, maybe it is something that we're eating. Maybe not the number one thing. There's a lot of different reasons why. If you are seeing that you have hormone problems, listen, that's the basis and the foundation for your hormones. So we could go over a lot of stuff in regards to just fat. Okay. So, hey, let me know your thoughts. Have any questions? Let me know. I'll answer them. And coming we're 7 days away. T28 challenge is coming up, and early bird registration is done tomorrow. So after tomorrow, you pay full price. So it's still a great deal, even at full price. But if you register by tomorrow, then it will be $50 off early bird registration. So you can do 2 things. Call 553-6149 in order to register for that, or I'll leave the phone number in here. Or I'll leave the link in the comments below, and you can register. Like for some people, they say, I want to talk to somebody first. we are doing our no sweat consultations at CrossFit Exemplify in Yorkville and in Morris. That's where we're going to be having the T28 challenge. So that way you can actually schedule a consultation and talk to one of our coaches first, and give a chance for them to ask questions, get to know you just a little bit better, and make you feel really good about a decision that I know is going to change your life. Any questions, leave them in the comments below. And after the T28 event, we are going to be having a really awesome talk, and it's an inflammation talk. So we're going to talk about all the different sources of inflammation. And it's not just from working out, and it's not just from what you eat. There's a lot of different sources of inflammation. And I think that this talk is probably captures the essence of why we get in our office, why we get clinical results, is because we address all the different areas of inflammation inside of the body. So, hey guys, hope you enjoyed this. Leave your comments below. Make sure you get registered for the T28 challenge if you're from the Yorkville or from the Morris area. Be well, and we'll talk to you soon.